Welcome back to All Things AI. Here with me today is Dr. Piyush Mathur, an anesthesiologist and critical care physician at the Cleveland Clinic, and he is also an associate professor at the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine. He is an AI researcher and a co-founder of BrainX AI and the BrainX community, entities of healthcare and tech professionals dedicated to the application of AI in healthcare. Dr. Mathur, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be with you, Ishan.
Of course, I think it's going to be a great discussion on this snowy Saturday morning, so let's get right into it. First, can you tell me a bit more about the mission of BrainX and why AI and the community and why you founded these organizations?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Uh, we were trying to ask this question around 8 to 9 years ago about this term called AI, which is not, or was at least that time, not that familiar to physicians and many other healthcare professionals. It sounded very exciting and sounded like a very impressive technology and a tool. And we were trying to figure out how can we leverage that in healthcare. That was the basic question that we were trying to address. So we, along with Dr. Frank Pepe, some of my other colleagues, Dr. Ashish Khanna, Dr. Jacek Szymanski, and Dr. Maheshwari, ended up founding a entity called BrainX. And the mission of that was to understand AI in healthcare as a sector better, understand the opportunities, and also try to understand how can we implement AI in healthcare in a safe and a resource effective manner. So that's been our mission. We are not necessarily trying to build a new model. That's for Google's and Microsoft's and others to do. We are trying to understand what will it take, whether it's data transformation or model optimization or human computer interface science that needs to mature up so that we can leverage AI to help healthcare, to our help our healthcare professionals and to help our patients.
Yeah. And maybe I guess like I can ask this. I just want to like learn more about the community and I guess put it out there. So what are like some of the activities that you guys might do for like community members?
Yeah, that's a great question. So BrainX was formed as a core entity. That's a few of us who are constantly researching. But as we were doing it, there were a lot of people asking the same questions. What is AI? How can we apply it in healthcare? And was so much information, scientific information that was constantly expanding that we said, let's build a community around us so that we are all sharing this knowledge, so that we all learn from each other and we can all grow together. So that was the formation of the community, which is the BrainX community, to broaden our platform. And that's where we share a lot of scientific information. So we're not necessarily talking about AI can do this or AI can do that. We are looking at hardcore research, we are looking at hardcore developed tools, and we provide this information to our members, which are more than 7,000 now across the world, and a very diverse community. There are AI researchers in there, there are professors of AI, there are professors of medicine, there are nurses, there are students from all across the globe who are part of that. And we provide different mediums of content because everybody will take content differently. So we have a website which provides a curated list of links to publications which are key to this space. We do monthly live sessions where we introduce some of the key researchers and their work, some of the developers and the tools that they have built or platforms that they have built. We also have the largest repository of links to open source data sets because to build AI tools, you do need open source data sets,
Of course.
or even if you have built it to validate it. So we provide the largest repository of links to that. And then there are a whole host of other content that we provide, like listing of conference, podcast series. You can go to our website, brainxai.org, and look at that.
For sure. And you guys do so much. And I think it's really going to like benefit the entire community as a whole, like even those that are outside of this. And you even got to like the hints of like talking about AI and research. And I definitely want to get to that later because I think there's so much to discuss in that realm as well. But I also want to ask, like, can you tell me about some of the key ideas that you wrote about in like the book you co-authored, which was about the strategies for AI in healthcare?
Yeah, so we were trying to put a lot of our learning and a lot of our understanding into this one concise book. which we are in the process of revising too right now. So look out for the second edition, which is going to be much, much better and powerful coming out soon. But we were trying to address the few Y's and few W's through that. That if you want AI implemented in healthcare, simply stated, we need to address the questions of who, who as in who will build it, who does it impact, why, where is it needed, what impact will it make, what are the resources needed, so the what are the resources needed, and then again a few other questions that we try to address through that book. But the key questions about what needs to enable you to form that strategy, because there are a lot of people sometimes they're trying to do random things, and we want to articulate a strategy and provide them with a framework which they can use to create a solution that is helpful to everyone.
Course. And next, I want to head into like exploring really the impacts of AI in healthcare. Sorry, and what we think that's gonna like end up as over the course of the next decade or so. So, like, I think there's a lot of like work that's going in. There's like huge conferences that are out there talking about AI in healthcare. Obviously, a lot of podcast series like the one that we're doing right now. And so, I think there's a lot of like hype surrounding the space. I want to, I guess, like distill it down to where we currently are, like the status quo. So. What do you think are some of the challenges that we're seeing in the implementation of AI in healthcare?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. That's a great challenge too. But I think I'm very excited that now we are in the era where we're trying to solve some of those challenges. So let's address the first question that you asked, like where are we currently? So where we are currently is if you look at our publications which relate to year in review, where we look at prior years publications and curate that list, there has been explosive amount of research work that have happened in the last 5 to 6 years. So in 2019, when we started publishing our year in reviews, and you can get it through our website, it's all open source. There were around 3 to 4 thousand publications using our search methodology that we were finding. Last year, we found more than 25,000, close to 30,000 publications. So you can see the amount of research publications that represents the amount of work that is going on in research in this space. Similarly, if you look at the FDA approved AI algorithms, a few years ago, they were around 400, 500, but it's crossed 1,000 now. If we look at the implementation of AI in healthcare, there are like real tangible applications that are being used at bedside. So one of the common ones that people think about these days, which are used by physicians, is AI scribe. So when you visit a doctor or a physician office, you'll find them having a device over there which is recording it so that they don't have to sit and type everything in there, and they can have a meaningful conversation with you. So it takes away that task of writing, transcribing something off the doctor's shoulders, which is burdensome and leading to burnout. Another real interesting application is uh, a lot of ultrasounds and a lot of imaging is supported by AI. So it can detect stroke in a better way, in an earlier way. With the echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart
Yeah.
that patients need. It can guide you, and it can also detect and diagnose certain conditions in a better way. So it's becoming real. These applications have now made it to bedside. People are using it to benefit our patients. The question about where is it gonna go from here, I think that's a big question for us because we have to be mindful about the resources. We have to be leading the development of the tools that we need, not just because it has certain capabilities, we use it, but something that will benefit our patients and that will help our healthcare professionals. I think it's going to be transformational. We are already seeing the transformation happen across all the different healthcare sectors. I give you some of the examples, and there are numerous of those. Uh, I think 5 to 10 years from now, what I see is in a lot of tasks that the clinicians perform, these AI tools will be assisting them to do it better. They will be assisting our patients in better decision making. And hopefully, we will see the impact of that in better healthcare outcomes. We will see the impact of that in uh, improving our resources, that we use for healthcare, because in US it's a big expense. So hopefully it'll help uh, create solutions that help decrease the cost. Where I see it in 5 to 10 years is improving access to patients across the globe and democratizing some of the knowledge. So, for example, for echocardiogram, currently there is a lot of training required to perform those. But with these AI tools, there have been studies which have shown that people who are novice, who have not received that training, can perform that and can get the image capture and can draw the inference using AI, similar to some of the people who have been trained in this. So, access and democratizing care is what I hope to see. I hope that makes a big impact in healthcare.
For sure. And I really, really want to talk about like, I guess how it's going to impact workforces now that we're almost getting into it. But before that, like I was wondering, I think like one of the challenges that we might have seen maybe like, or it's not really a challenge, but something that just like happens when there's emerging technology is that like maybe like if you look 5 or 10 years back, there wasn't as many treatments that were like FDA approved as there would be like now after we've seen this whole like almost like revolution take place in front of us. But like so now that we have like more of these that are like FDA approved, what happens to these algorithms and treatments after they're FDA approved and like between that time when they actually get translated into like real world application, are there more tests or what does that look like?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. There is a lot of research work that is going on into this space. What we are seeing is acceleration of clinical trials and clinical trial changing clinical trial designs leveraging AI. So previously, what used to take like 5 to 8 to 10 years and used to take a lot of resources, I think that is likely to get accelerated with this. There are quite a few different companies which are in this space, and they're leveraging AI. Even pharma companies and device companies, they're trying to leverage some of these tools so that they can accelerate these clinical trials so that we know early on something that will work or something that will not work. What is also happening is because of the collection of data now, some of these we may not have to do trials, and there can be other study designs, research methodologies through which we can gain the same inference, which previously used to require these extensive trials. So yes, that landscape is set to pivot and to change to leveraging AI.
For sure. Next, I want to talk about like I guess AI and workforces, which was kind of where we were ending up with the your answer to the last question. So like and you kind of like touched on this too, and I myself have like for example like family members that are in like the medicine medical space, and like I guess like one of the most commonly brought up ones that you mentioned is like radiology, for example, where you can see algorithms that are like 97, 98% accurate in like picking up like pneumonia or even like fractures in some instances with a little less accuracy. So clearly like the systems are getting much better. So I guess like how will AI, if at all, like reshape workforces in healthcare, especially in the US in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it also comes with some fear. That's what I see. There's some trepidation and some fear about it too. Uh, I don't think with we'll be doing the same things the same way we are doing currently. And that's just a natural course of evolution. So if you think about how we were practicing 20 years ago, there are devices, there are technologies that have come about because of which we don't practice the same way. So certain procedures that I used to do, for example, when I started in my practice, we weren't using ultrasound to put in central venous catheters, but now it's standard of care and actually has decreased complications, made it much easier to do that. The same way I see certain tasks that we perform, they're likely to change in the future, and that's where some people are a little bit fearful about it. But I look at it as a natural evolution of things with these technologies. One of the key aspects to this evolution is education, and that's one of the missions that we have. That's why we build the community to educate healthcare professionals, to educate data scientists, and to educate public about appropriateness of implementation and use of AI in healthcare. The more we understand that, the better we will be able to adopt it or reject it. And that's where clinicians, physicians, nurses, technologists, all healthcare professionals need to be engaged in this so that we can identify the meaningful use and the safe use of these so that our patients can get better. If we are educated, we will be able to educate our patients for appropriate use of AI. and why and how we are taking recommendations from it and impacting our patient care. We should be able to explain this to our patient. Why am I using the recommendation from this AI tool,
For
and
sure.
why that is helpful to their outcome? Uh, and there are enough surveys now where we can see that patients are equally excited about it. Of course, we are all patients in one way or another, but patients are equally excited about the use of a data-driven science to impact their healthcare outcome.
Yeah, and I've even like heard, I guess I had this discussion a couple weeks back, but it's like a lot like some doctors they'll have like patients who search something up, use ChatGPT, enter their symptoms or some Google AI, and they'll come back and say, "Oh, I have this like crazy condition that might need some big like surgery or procedure," but really at the end of the day, it's not that serious of a thing, and it's like so I guess like that kind of happens like the and it's but at the end of the day, it's a good thing that people are able to access that, I think. And there's going to be more AI tools, especially that I'm seeing like targeted towards like, for example, like just like the normal person to use it to diagnose something or like get an idea of what they're going through if they should visit the doctor or not. Things that like weren't easily accessible in the past. So I think that's definitely going to be heading in the right direction. And like so you mentioned earlier that you've built this whole community of like 7,000 plus people now, like, and obviously you're one of like the, you know a lot about AI and healthcare from like all the experiences that you have. But maybe for like physicians and other like healthcare professionals that don't know much, like how do you think they should really educate themselves about like AI and healthcare and maybe like prepare for the changes that they might see in the next couple years?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. That's actually one of the most frequently asked questions that I encounter or have encountered in the recent past. So,
Yeah.
for exactly that reason, some of us wrote a paper last year called Navigating AI. And it's a quick start guide for getting engaged with AI in healthcare, whether your purpose is to educate yourself to become more literate in the different terminology, or there is a concept that you want to research more, or you have an idea for developing a solution and starting a company around it and providing it to patients or healthcare professionals, you can define your goal. You can look at the resources, create a roadmap for yourself, and get it implemented. I would urge you to look up Navigating AI Quick Start Guide for Healthcare Professionals. That has a lot of answers and a lot of resources for you in a concise and precise manner.
Of course, and I'll make sure to link that too when I post this
Sure.
next day or two. And lastly, like you mentioned, this was an interesting point you brought up earlier that maybe a couple years ago, I don't remember the exact count, but you might have had like 1,000 or 3,000 publications that are coming out like in AI. But now I think the number you mentioned was like closer to 25,000. And so that's obviously a huge jump. And one thing that I guess I kind of noticed was like there's a lot of research that we're seeing, but the amount of research that goes to maybe like the FDA approval and then actually gets implemented is like very, very small. Is that just because like me I like and I guess a process that's kind of like this is like drug discovery, for example, when you start off with like thousands of targets and you narrow that down. I don't exactly know if those processes are analogous, but that's why I guess I'm wondering, like, is there, I guess, like an issue with some of like the quality of the research that we're seeing? Is that why like less is moving on, or is that just like kind of like a natural process of how like I guess we like implement technology in the space?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So if you look at our year in reviews, previously when there was less amount of research, we would just compile it, looking at all the publications. In the last few years, we are actually using AI models to filter that research for mature publications. The way mature publications has been defined, and you can read our publication
Yeah.
on that, is using a model that was validated and published in Lancet by another group, very esteemed group in UK. So we use that model and we modified it to filter through that research to provide curated, mature list of research, and we actually provide that data as open source too. So you can look at the list of those curated publications. The way we define, or they have defined, mature is the publications that have some data, that have some trials, rather than just opinions. Opinions are important, but people want to see like hardcore research where experiments have been done. So that's what it looks through. So we do see and provide through those filters using AI, to look at healthcare AI publications. But you're right, there is a lot of research work going on in the space. And it's not just in healthcare, but also if you look at AI conferences, they're flooded with papers now.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that's happening everywhere. Part of the reason is that there's a lot of excitement in this space.
Yeah.
The second part is all you need is a data, a laptop, or a high compute cloud engine, and somebody who's skilled and smart, or a group that is skilled and smart, and they can start testing their hypothesis. And that is great because you do want those experiments, you do want to tap that energy and all. Even if they're small, even if they're early, I'm sure there's knowledge that is created through that that helps advance the science better. Just because a lot of people are able to do it, I wouldn't necessarily call that it's not useful. I do think it every step it's advancing things. It's harder to do the same when you're doing it for drugs or devices because it's not like you or me can get together, create a lab. It's very resource intense. It's slightly different when it comes to data science and AI, that it's
Yeah.
much easier to do that. That's why you're seeing that explosion for this. And it's across all sectors right now. But at the end of the day, some of us do need to curate this. And that's why we build this community to
Yeah.
filter it, to provide it in a meaningful, precise, and concise way so that it's useful to ours. And that's been our effort in the last few years to provide that curated knowledge it at your fingertips so that you conserve your resources and you can get to it quickly.
For sure. And I think the point that one of the points that you were making in your answer was like it's good that that many people are able to put that research out there. Yeah, because like we need to democratize this technology at the end of the day. And at one level that might mean like I guess that might mean making like people that aren't anywhere close to like the healthcare or tech spaces like know how these models work and maybe like how they can keep maintain their privacy when using them and things like that. And on another level, it might mean like training people to actually like create this technology. And so I think that's all part of that whole process. And it's really like I think it's been about just over 3 years or like around that much time since we saw ChatGPT, and that's when everyone found out about AI. And so it's really been a crazy journey, I guess, like exploring this technology for the past couple years. And I don't even know what's gonna come. So it's like in the sense that like there's so much happening, and so it's really been amazing to get to see this journey. And I'll be sure to check out a lot of the work that you guys are putting out as well. So thank you for your time today.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Ishan, think about it this way. Had it not been for AI, a unifying platform across all demographics, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation probably today,
No,
right?
I don't
Uh,
think so. Yeah,
and similarly, I'm connected with so many people in the world who are not in my profession necessarily, pathologists, data scientists, researchers. We are all very excited about this space. We are all trying to work together in this space. So it's a very unifying platform for everyone to build solutions to research this so that it can impact humanity in a more meaningful way. So really exciting time and space.
thank you.